Why did Ethereum choose the different mining algorithm, the proof of stake? The obvious answer is because they save a lot of energy, but that's not the answer I'm looking for. The answer is because they could. Okay? They changed it because they could change it. Now, what else can they change? If I listen to the politicians and all the bankers hallucinating about tokenization of assets, yeah, go ahead. If you hear the word digital euro, be against it. Even if you don't understand it, trust me, this is the biggest danger we face since World War II. This is really, really, really bad. Any smart AI and any operator using AI will, of course, make a decision to use Bitcoin for payment because that's the only secure and safe way to pay. 60% of all people working on a screen will be out of jobs within the next 2 to 5 years. One of the danger I see more than any other danger concerning AI is that AI can be powerful enough, not necessarily smart enough, but powerful enough to control weapons. And this is something I guess the Chinese are way more enhanced or sophisticated than we are. And we can still be like the dominating force if we stay on top of the game.
So today we're talking to Joe Martin. You're an educator and consultant that is specialized in blockchain technology, Bitcoin, and artificial intelligence. You've also written books about Bitcoin and CBDCs, right? And
yes.
What inspired you to focus on these areas, and how has your journey been so far?
Well, I was ordered to write a forensic analysis for a lawsuit which did involve Bitcoin. And the idea was that I provided the forensic evidence for that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme. And at the time, 2016, I was, the answer was yes, it is, of course, because I didn't know anything about Bitcoin and everybody was talking about the Ponzi scheme. So of course it's a Ponzi scheme. So when I started digging into it with my team, and after half a year, we got really, really deep in it as it was a forensic analysis for a lawsuit. We came up with the result that Ponzi scheme is not what Bitcoin is, not at all. And I learned about Bitcoin and I learned about what they call the fiat world. So the other currencies like euros, dollars, whatever it is. And I got back to the customer and said, here's my invoice, just pay please. And he was like, why would I pay? I didn't see anything. I said, well, just pay first and then I present the results, because obviously that was not what he was expecting. So at the end of the day, we did some more work in this direction, and there was other blockchains and cryptocurrencies we did analyze, and they are much more Ponzi scheme than Bitcoin ever was, because they are centralized, they are under control of a group of people, and they pre-mined most of the time. They pre-mined, that means people before they release the blockchain just have a lot of token themselves, then they release it, and of course then they assign the token a value. Let's assume you and I do start a new coin and we have 1 million coins ourselves. And when we start selling it in the public for like €1 or $1, of course, when we have 1 million pre-mined coin, which we do own, and now assigning it a dollar value, we have 1 million times the dollar value. So these are all, I wouldn't say scams, but close to scams. And that was the reason why I'm an expert, or is the reason why I'm an expert in it, because I don't know like something about Bitcoin, but I really, really was deep into it, down to the code level, and truly understand Bitcoin and blockchain, and decided for Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I wondered where you came from the banking sector, because I don't know.
Not at all. Not at all. I didn't have any idea about finance. I came from technology. I was running a consulting business for the last 20, 25 years, helping people to get the latest technology running. So I was standing in line when the iPhone 2007 was introduced. I was in line and I almost got one. I was second on the line who did not get one. So I had to go back the next day after 4 hours of waiting and things like that. So when I had the iPhone in my hand, I called one of my techies and said, I have an iPhone here. He was in Europe, I was in the US. And he was like, okay, just plug it in your Mac and open up the console and then type in this commands. And I was like, what does it mean? I type in this command and execute it. And he said, we are jailbreaking your iPhone now. I mean, I had it like few hours and he jailbroke my iPhone, installed the first software on it. It worked, fortunately, at the time. And we start building apps and things like that. So I always was in technology on one hand. And on the other hand, I helped big distribution and sales people to communicate with their sales force. And one of the specialized sales forces, one of this type of sales force we were specialized in was called network marketing infrastructure. So that is that I just recruit you and you recruit the next person and so on, and we all make money. Now, there are two types of these kind of systems. So one is the illegal, which is called a Ponzi scheme, or also like the avalanche system. And the other one is a legal one. The legal ones are widely known in the finance sector, selling insurances around the world. And we did build software for these kind of people. So I had to understand how a Ponzi system really works. And that qualified me to make this distinction in the intersection between technology and Ponzi. And this is how I came to my forensics analysis on Bitcoin and other blockchains.
Yeah, I understand. Interesting. Yeah. If I remember correctly, you said something like the other cryptos were far more Ponzi scheme like Bitcoin. Do you consider, does Bitcoin at all have any Ponzi scheme character or no? Okay,
no, not at all. Not at all. The Ponzi scheme, I mean, the first analysis on Bitcoin showed that the dollar and the euro is more like a Ponzi scheme than Bitcoin ever was. And the other cryptos, which I call just like derivatives, if you have a knockout certificate on a share price, on a call, a covered call, and all whatever you call these derivatives, crypto is the same thing. It's just a derivative controlled by somebody. In one case, it's controlled by Wall Street. In the other case, the cryptos, it's controlled by the tech guys and sometimes early investors or people with a lot of money. Bitcoin not. Bitcoin is totally independent. Bitcoin is totally immutable. Bitcoin is totally decentralized. And these are the core values of Bitcoin. Decentralization and immutability, and the way to store data in the Bitcoin blockchain, not in blockchain, but in the Bitcoin blockchain, which enables man, first time in history, to save data in immutable. So that in 1,000 years, somebody looks at the blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain, not the others, the Bitcoin blockchain, he knows this is the truth and nothing but the truth. That was the subtitle of my book, what I wrote after that in 2017 about Bitcoin and blockchain. The subtitle was The Truth, Nothing But the Truth. This changes everything because first time in history, we were able to have reliable sources from the past.
Yeah. And this is, so what makes Bitcoin not a Ponzi scheme is it being decentralized and no free market. And on the other hand, you have centralized cryptos, which claim to be decentral, which they're not. And in most cases, they have pre-mined, so they have someone pushing the knobs, being able to push the knobs, and have pre-mined. And that's the main difference. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically. But they are decentralized. But decentralization is like just a word. And if you have in your home 3 computers and you run 3 softwares on the 3 computers, then you're still decentralized, because the computing power is decentralized in your living room, in your kitchen, and in your sleeping room, for example. The question is always who has the control over these decentralized entities. And that is the difference with Bitcoin, because we have like 1 million mining nodes out there who are providing, based on power, on energy they consume, which cost money, the decentralized infrastructure in verifying and not verifying, but building the blocks. And then another thousands and tens of thousands of nodes provide the verification of the blocks which being distributed. And all these nodes belong to different people. And this is real decentralization. Anything else is just, yeah, you have a decentralized system running on your IT infrastructure. You just can enter any of those machines and change anything as long as they belong to you. In Bitcoin, they don't belong to anybody. They belong to everybody. That's the big difference.
Yeah. So you're not able to just easily change the protocol also?
No, not at all. Not at all. This is the beauty of Bitcoin, and it's different. I always tell people, why did Ethereum choose the different mining algorithm, the proof of stake rather than proof of work before? And then the obvious answer is because they save a lot of energy. They save 97% of energy they had before using proof of work. But that's not the answer I'm looking for. The answer is because they could. Okay? They changed it because they could change it. Now, what else can they change? Everything. And this is why the whole thing is worthless. Because if you have a group of people who can change everything at will, there is no immutability, there is no trustworthiness, there's nothing in it. It's just a database. It's just a derivative of any financial thing. And if I listen to the politicians and all the bankers hallucinating about tokenization of assets, yeah, go ahead. Tokenize your assets, put it on the Ethereum blockchain or any other blockchain. It's basically the same thing. And then the guys who provide the technology, the guys behind it, the techies I call them, they change the protocol and all your assets are manipulated. All your assets are not like it was before. So you don't want, as a bank, as a big bank or the central bank, you don't want to be in the hands of a handful of programmers and software engineers. You don't want to have that. But everybody is fascinated from tokenization of assets. So it's all bullshit. And this is what I've found the last years based on my research back in 2016.
Yeah. And was that a one-off chance that Bitcoin could grow in such a way that it really became decentralized? Is it like the only chance we have? What do you think?
Today, Bitcoin is so strong, backed by energy, backed by mining, that it's impossible with all known technology today that somebody else can provide a parallel system or another system, because it will need so much investment that it doesn't make any sense. Besides, you may not even have the compute power to build it. You may not even have the extra energy to build it. So Bitcoin won the race maybe 5-6 years ago already, because it's almost impossible with existing technology to build another system which has the same strengths, the same features. And don't forget, if you have another system, you also need the users accepting the system and jumping on it, hopping on it, and go with it. So this is, I think, Bitcoin it is, and Bitcoin it will be, and Bitcoin will be the future.
I also think in terms of like institutions not want to let it grow, because before they probably didn't take it seriously. But if they would now see a similar system, they might put effort into crushing it while it's still fragile.
It's not fragile anymore. That's over. It was fragile maybe till 2015, maybe. And now here's what happens. Right now is two kind of institutions. One, embracing Bitcoin, leveraging it, And this is like all the BlackRocks and all these others and MicroStrategy. And every day a new company comes out. Even public listed companies are putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And then the other people, which is mostly, as I can see, the European Central Bank and all these kind of people who are afraid of Bitcoin because they lose their jobs, they lose their power. They can't control a system which is called Bitcoin. If you have Bitcoin, you have freedom. There is no central bank in the world. There is nobody who can tell you what to do and what not to do. And this, of course, takes away power from them. Therefore, they try to do everything in their power to be against Bitcoin. But hey, this is the bad news for you, dear bankers and dear central bankers. There's nothing you can do against it. There's nothing you can do against it. This is the superior system on top of everything, and it's decentralized and it's strong and it's accepted by a lot of people, and it will be accepted by even more people. So just embrace it, live with it, make sure the people get Bitcoin so that they have financial freedom and not under the pressure and the manipulation of the central banks of our days. Sorry, I had to say that.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, I agree. I just wondered about all the other cryptos. It took me a while to also get behind that, but do they really believe they are decentral, or are they just ignorant? Because I remember Charles Hoskinson, which I believe is probably a very intelligent man. He just doesn't seem to get it. And I wonder if they're...
Here's my take on that. A lot of them may have had very good intentions, but my question always is, do you have any pre-mined coins before you open it up to the public? So why would you do that?
You must finance yourself, right?
Exactly. You must finance yourself. So it's not a service to the community. It's not a service to humanity like Satoshi did it. Like Satoshi Nakamoto, when he released Bitcoin to the world, he had, of course, only one node, his own computer, and he mined some blocks. But pretty soon he had a second one, and somebody else, totally unknown before, had also mined some blocks and got some Bitcoins. And then there was the third and the fourth and the fifth and so on and so on and so on. There was no pre-mine. I mean, Satoshi has on his wallet 1 million Bitcoins, which is worth a lot today as we have $100,000 on the Bitcoin price. However, he never spent it. He never moved it. Maybe he's not with us anymore, but maybe he's doing it on purpose to give the system to the rest of the world. All other cryptos, they do pre-mine, they go live, and then they buy Lambos, and then they buy whatever, and then they take the money and they run, and all these things happen in crypto. So Bitcoin is not crypto. Crypto is nothing else than financial derivatives, most of them fraud. And people need to understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think are, in general, the biggest challenges in teaching people about Bitcoin? What concepts do they usually find the hardest to understand?
Well, all of them, because it's totally different than the fiat world we are living in. Just to tell people, or just to make them aware of that, there is nobody controlling Bitcoin. I mean, there is no office, there is no CEO, it's nobody you can talk to. This is very, very unfamiliar to people. People are used to have somebody can talk to. People used to, I can call somebody. I'm losing my password. I can request a new password. You can't. With Bitcoin, it's a different world. So it's a lot of different thinking involved. It's a lot of openness you need to embrace it. It will make you a little scared in the beginning. And so you need some help. And the other thing is a lot of people know and understand Bitcoin like me. We try to convince the other people. We try to talk to them. We try to introduce the concept to them. But it's very difficult because a lot of people also, they come and we call that orange pilling because the Bitcoin color is orange. And in relation to the matrix where you had a blue and a red pill, we talk to the people and want to give them the orange pill so that they got orange pill. They understand Bitcoin a little bit. And this is a big problem, because a lot of times people come with technology and they talk about immutability and they talk about the blockchain. Then the other people come with how it's good to have mining integrated in the grid and things like that. So it's a lot of technology, and people they don't want that. So that is the reason why my wife and I developed a orange pilling tool, which is brand new right now. And I can just show it here. That is a card game. And it's called 21 Bitcoin. And what we did is, at the time, she was with her family. And she called me once late in the morning, and I said, well, you slept well into the day. And she said, yeah, we played card till 4 a.m. in the morning at her place. What do you play cards? Did you play poker? No. We played Uno. And Uno is a game, you may know it, and a lot of people know that. Uno is a game with the purpose of lay down cards, right? At the end of the day, you have to get rid of all your cards. And there's a lot of other games around the world, like in Germany, they have one called Mau Mau, and then there's several others, all the same concept. Get rid of your cards, get rid of the cards you have on your hand. Now, I was thinking, and when I was talking to her, and I said, why don't we use that as an example for get rid of your debt, get rid of your fiat currency debt. And we decided to build a game, and we build it and use, instead of colors, we use now currencies. So you have like a pound currency. Then you have, of course, like the dollar, right? And of course, you have the euro. And finally, this is the euro, like this. And finally, you have the yen card. So this is the yen. And then, as you know, and this is the backside of the card. It's oops, sorry. That's a. So when there is this extra cards in all the games, the laydown games, for example, you have the skip card. So let's say we play together and I have a skip card and you just skip the next hand and I can lay down an extra card. Now, what does that mean in real life? It means in real life, if you want to go to your bank on a Saturday or Sunday, bank is closed. So we have this bank opening hours. This is the skip card. Then we have the card which is take two more cards on your hand. This is a concept we all know as inflation. Because instead of getting rid of your cards, you need to take two more. This is the same like take on more debt just to pay your bills. And then, of course, there is another concept which is also well known. I just need to find it here. Which is if inflation gets out of hand, then this is called the hyperinflation, right? And in the hyperinflation, I just need to find it in the cards here. Here it is. The hyperinflation, you need to take on 4 extra cards, okay? Now, as the game is played, you can play it like you want it, but if you go, for example, the traditional rules, you have one guy showing the +4 card, and then you have the next player who says, I have also a +4 card, so the next person has to take on 8 cards. But remember, the idea is to get rid of your cards. So then there is the master card coming in, the master card, I call it. It's the wild card, and this is, of course, the Bitcoin card. So Bitcoin saves you. Bitcoin gets you out of debt. And if you play that, it's a lot of fun to play it. And if you play that, you have an introduction to your friends and family and to your colleagues. Not, hey, did you hear about Bitcoin? Let me tell you about Bitcoin. Let me orange peel you. No, just have fun, play a little bit. And then you have this inflation card. What is inflation? Well, then you have a chance to talk to them. Inflation, very simple. You go to the supermarket, you had paid 80 euros or $80 last year. Now you have 110. That's inflation, right? So you have a playable way, talk to people and introduce them to finance, and therefore can you also introduce them to Bitcoin, because that's the MasterCard. That is the strongest card you can ever have. And then there's one more thing. If you play like the other games, if you only have one card on your hand, if you play Uno, you need to say Uno. Now, if you have only one card from 21 Bitcoin, you say HODL, right? So you just HODL your card, you HODL Bitcoin, and now you have the chance to explain what HODL means. Just never sell your Bitcoin, hold it, right? So you want to have this Bitcoin card at the last card on your hand. So you have a lot of chances to talk to the people. And the other thing, side effect is 21 is the English word for, or the Italian also, for 21. And this is a magic number for us Bitcoiners, because we only have 21 million Bitcoins ever, and there will be no chance that ever somebody will create more than 21 million Bitcoins. So I'm talking to a lot of people about Bitcoin, but this is like the most efficient way I discovered in the last years.
Yeah, that sounds like a very cool idea. Yeah, is it already out now, or is it still in development?
No,
let's say
it's available. You can pre-order it in the US and in Europe. We can maybe put the links in the description here. In the US, the best address is 21.cards. The domain is 21.cards. And in Europe, it's copiaro.de. Bitcoin, a fellow Bitcoiner who is selling it in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, if people are not specifically asking, it's very difficult to get the attention in many cases. The orange pilling can be very hard work. So that sounds like a very cool idea. I remember you recently also gave a speech in the German parliament at the Bitcoin im Bundestag event, but at that time about the risks of CBDC. So we have digital currencies on one hand, Bitcoin, decentralized, not controllable. On the other hand, we have CBDCs. What was your main message, and what's your take, and how did you respond to that?
Yeah, if you get into Bitcoin, you get into a lot of concepts outside Bitcoin itself. So you need to understand a little bit about the finance. What is money? How is money working? You need to understand a little bit about energy. So you can study Bitcoin. This is what we always want people to do. Study Bitcoin. You can do it all your life, because it's always a new field. You can relate historical and so on. And one of the things, of course, is you need to understand how our finance system works today. The fiat system, where central banks and banks can create money out of nothing. Almost nobody understands that. So that is because of that inflation happens. Because of that, all these bad things happen. Because of that, a lot of rich people get rich and more rich every day, and poor people get poor and more poor every day. So this system is about to collapse. And this is not fake news. This is not a kind of real crazy thing, but it's happening. Because if you just look at the amount of money getting issued, printed every day, digitally printed, it's obvious that someday the whole debt structure will collapse. And that results in a hyperinflation. And that's really bad. And I'm German, so I know how it is. My grandparents lived during the 1923 hyperinflation in Germany. And all of a sudden, you don't have the money has no value anymore. My wife, she's from Venezuela. She lived through a hyperinflation. The Venezuelan bolivar, you can just use to burn it, to make a fire. It's worthless money. So in order to control that, and in order to make sure that this is not happening fast, the central bank in Europe and in the United States need to control the money more. And the best way to do it is they use their own digital currency. And this is called the central bank digital currency, a CBDC. Now, in the US, people understand the danger of CBDCs, and they just voted against it. They have a lot of laws in a lot of states, but the Fed is not allowed to issue CBDCs. They say no to CBDCs. In Europe, it's totally different. The European Central Bank is like pushing CBDCs, taking control. People are sleeping, don't pay attention in Europe. And someday, and I'm talking about 2026 maybe, you have a digital euro. Now, what does a digital euro mean? It means it's a controlled digital currency where some group, a small group of people, like the European Central Bank, can and will decide if the digital euro in your pocket, in your wallet, on your iPhone, you can spend or not. And under what conditions you can spend it or not. And if they impose borders to the spending behavior, like you can only buy 3 times a week meat, then you only can buy 3 times a week meat, because the wallet is not allowing you to spend more than 3 times a week on meat. The other thing, for example, is they can say, to stimulate the economy, which is like the stupid thing you can do, the money will lose on value, on purchasing power, by the end of a month by 10%. So that motivates you to spend the money instead of saving. And because you're always spending, creating again inflation instead of saving. So when I grew up in the 1970s, there was a concept of saving. It made sense to save money. Save money now and get some more valuable later. Today, it doesn't make sense to save money because inflation is eating your savings. So you need to spend it. And with this digital currency, the CBDCs, they can impose a lot of fines on you, a lot of extra spending force, which does not allow you to save anymore, and which ends up in either hyperinflation or in poverty from yourself. And listen, worst thing what can happen? They impose fines on you if you're a member of the wrong political party. They can impose and deduct money from your digital wallet if you post something on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter or on whatever, which they believe is not correct. So CBDCs is installing the total Orwellian surveillance state. And this is what I'm fighting against. This is why I wrote the book, which is called 2024. And it's the continuation, it's the successor of Orwell's 1984. And the only thing I did is I used Orwell's son, not Orwell, I mean his character, Winston Smith, in 1984. He had a son. Nobody knew about this son. So he was born, he was raised, and now he's 40 years old. 2024, 40 years after 1984, and he's running into the same problems like his father, Winston Smith, in the original novel. The only difference is they track him now down with CBDCs. They control him with CBDCs. And while Orwell needed to invent technology back in 1947 when he wrote 1984, there was no technology like we know today. But in my novel, nobody needed to invent some technology. It was all there. They only need to use it. And with the use of CBDCs, we are all in massive danger to run into a totalitarian state.
Absolutely. So it is a behavioral control that we are going towards. So it's a control system. And yeah, people that never heard of it probably only know it as the digital euro or the digital dollar. And if you talk about CBDCs, then it's more about the concept of the money, but it's being developed everywhere, right? So it's a development happening all over the world and being implemented, not really successfully, fortunately, but we can see it in China already, right? So we had, and it's in there, you can see how it works together with a social credit score,
right?
where people went to a demonstration in China, and then together at that time it was combined with a vaccine passport. So they just turned the button red, and people cannot go into a store anymore. They cannot pay anymore. They cannot use the subway anymore. They're basically out on the streets.
Right.
So that's a perfect control system if you're looking for control. But I sometimes wonder, those people also have families and friends, and why do they wish that upon their loved ones? I mean, but it is happening, and it's not a good development, and that's what you warn about, right?
Oh yeah, loud and clear, loud and clear. If you hear the word digital euro, be against it. Even if you don't understand it, trust me, this is the biggest danger we face since World War II. This is really, really, really bad. And it comes along with any other thing, especially in European Union, where we have like the chat control and all those, the digital ID. It's all to control you at the end of the day. And hey, it may not happen right after these instruments are there. If you use the digital euro, if you use the digital ID, the chat control, and things like that, it looks like it's good. It looks like it is good for freedom. It's good for us as a society. But you don't know when the political arena is changing. And as it is changing, they may then misuse these digital instruments to install a total control system. And then it's too late. So just say no anytime you hear digital euro or anything like that. And be active. Don't wait. Be against it actively. That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, today, money is being printed out of thin air with a couple of keystrokes. I do have a general question about money as we have it today. Not yet CBDCs. I'm not sure if I can. Well, so today money can be created out of like that with a couple of keystrokes. So I wonder who controls the global flow of money, and is precise control even possible? And who knows how much money is there? And if central banks can create money with a few keystrokes, why can't commercial banks do that? Who's controlling that? Why isn't China printing dollars? Who's going to stop them? Why aren't commercial banks just creating an account and put $1 billion on it? Is there a central institution that really can control that?
I don't think so. I don't know the answer here, but I don't think anybody can control it. It's just a question of the balance sheet. And if you have a balanced balance sheet, then if everything is okay, and the moment somebody puts out an extra $100 million and it doesn't fit to the balance sheet, so there is some like logical control over something like a big Excel sheet. So you can definitely have some control, but at the end of the day, maybe not. Maybe we don't know that there is some entities who print electronically dollars or euros or whatever, and just puts it in. Nobody knows. That's different from the digital money compared to the cash. If you have cash or you have gold or some other form of money, of course you can be held accountable. But with digital, there is a risk to it. Not with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin you cannot manipulate, you cannot print, you can do nothing. It's like 100% secure system. But the real fiat world, yeah, interesting. Let's try it. Let's print some billions of dollars and try to find the bank who takes it from us, and then therefore we intrude the system. Maybe it works. I don't know.
But if you transfer money from an account where you just put $1 billion on to another bank account, they're not going to ask where I got that from. Well,
they do. Maybe, in the meanwhile, they do. If you have anything over 10,000 euros, they want to know where it comes from and who you are and all these kind of things. But I guess if BlackRock is sending out $100 million, nobody asks, because it's BlackRock or any of these big commercial banks. So I don't know. Maybe they print the money themselves. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, at least I guess the technical barriers are not there. So it's the legal the legal issues that can arise, and that they're trying to be compliant, or otherwise they may lose the license. But other than in Bitcoin, there's no technical barrier. In Bitcoin,
exactly,
every participant has to play the same game by the same rules. A very competitive Bitcoin mining. They often say the big difference is with proof of work is that there is like a physical connection that
yes,
connects the virtual world. Can you say it like that? And that Bitcoin mining abides by the laws of physics. Can you explain why that is so important and what that difference means, in fact?
Yeah, let's go back to these islands where they had big stones as a currency, the rice stones it's called. Now, they had stones, huge, very heavy stones, like hundreds of kilos of weight. And on these islands, there are only a limited number of these stones. So the owner of the stone or a part of the stone had like a currency, and they could then assign this part of the stone or the stone to somebody else. So that was the way they traded. Now, it was a pretty secure system because there was no more stone on this island. The only way you could create more stone was when you travel with a little boat or any kind of swimming vehicle to a neighbor island, and then took a stone and brought it back to the main island, so to speak. Now, that was, of course, very risky, because what if you had this stone on your little boat and the stones were very heavy? So let's say the boat just, the stone fell over, the boat turned over, the stone fell in the sea. So the whole adventure of getting a stone from the neighbor islands to the main island was very risky, and you had to work hard. You had to be smart. You had to put a lot of energy in it to get this money onto the other island. And therefore, if you made that, you deserve it because you worked hard for it, right? That's pretty much the same concept with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, you need to invest, or you need to put in energy like electric current to run the computers, the miners. And then you're in competition with like a million other people doing the same thing. And you need to compute calculations, or not calculations, but a mathematical formula. And it's always the same formula for everybody. So there is no difference in the formula. It's the same rules for everybody. Now, the more energy you put in, the more machines you have, the more hardware you commit, the higher is the chance that you create a new block with transitions of Bitcoin sent from one to another person. And this is called proof of work, because only the one who wins gets extra new Bitcoins, and this is how Bitcoin comes to life. Right now, it's 3.125 new Bitcoin for the calculation of a new block. And remember, you are in competition with like a million other computers doing the same thing at the same time, and only one can win. But because of you putting in so much energy, and everybody, like all the million miners putting in energy, the system is based on this energy. And that is the link to the physical world, because you cannot produce Bitcoin out of nothing. While in all the fiat system, as the name fiat is the Latin for it become. So in the Genesis book, in the first sentence is that fiat lux, and there was light, right? Fiat lux. Now we as a Bitcoiner said the fiat money system, it became money. There was money. And this is because the banks are just hitting a keystroke, they're just pushing a key, and then on your account is like $10,000 more. That's very simple, and it's coming out of really nothing. There's no effort. I mean, you just need to put the finger down, put in 10,000, return, and you have the $10,000 on your account. And that's the difference why Bitcoin is anchored in the physical world, and nobody can create it out of nothing. everybody can create it if it's using miners, the computer, and calculating these algorithm, with one algorithm. And the only thing is, if you have one miner against a million, your chances are 1 in a million. So if you really want to control what's happening, you need to be with at least more than half, and then only you have half the chances. They have only a 50-50 chance. So if you want to control it even more, you need to put in more than half, like 3/4. And the good news is there isn't enough energy on the world for somebody to do that. So therefore it's immutable, therefore it's so safe, because you just can't have it. And this is the big difference between fiat money and real asset-based money. Same with the stones. If there is no stone anymore, you can't produce any more stones. Very simple, because you can't create stone out of nothing. That's the difference.
So while we're all looking for easy solution, this system must not allow us to find an easy way. We're all playing by the same rules, yeah. and that makes the difference. So anyone trying to sneak in, it's not gonna work out. Yeah, and
there's
that's
more.
kind of
There's more. Like you said, it's the same rules for everyone. But that also requires, and that's the difference to CBDCs. CBDCs are controlled by the central banks. The source code is controlled by the central banks. We don't know what they do. It's not open source like Bitcoin. Open source means everybody can look in the code, the programming. Everybody can use it. It's open. It's borderless. It's non-discriminating. And if you are into CBDCs, if you have CBDCs, it's controlled by the central bank. It's not open. If they don't allow you to use it, you're not. It's not It's not non-discriminating. They may say, hey, you're a white person, you don't get CBDCs. Or maybe you're a black person, you don't get CBDCs. Maybe you have white hair or black hair, or maybe you just had pink hair because it's fun to have pink hair. Hey, you don't get any of our CBDC anymore. Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It's open, borderless, immutable. It's non-discriminating. It's like something mankind never ever had before. And therefore, it's very important that you get involved, study Bitcoin.
Yeah, and next to Bitcoin, you also focus on AI, right? What do you think? Is Bitcoin and AI, is that going to go hand in hand, or do you see clashes or issues arising? What kind of relationship do you see between them? Are they going to reinforce themselves, or are they in each other's way?
Let's look at today's AI. Today's AI is capable of programming software to a very large extent, very sophisticated things. And it will be able to do that even stronger and even more sophisticated very, very soon. And we're not talking about 10 years, we talk about 1 year, maybe 6 months. Now, having somebody who can program on an expert level can also write software which tries to steal, which is manipulating, which is malware. Now, if I would be one of this person, I would use AI to hack myself into the financial system, to create maybe what we talked about before, create an account with $1 million and just introduce it into the banking system. And they don't even recognize where the $1 million is coming from. So this is what AI can do. And AI will potentially also have the need later to pay some other AIs, or maybe some robots, or maybe some machines, pay for services. Now we have two things. We have a huge superior...
Why? Sorry, why would AI want to get paid?
Well, because not AI by itself may get paid, but the operator of the AI may get paid. For example, let's say you want to control traffic in a city, and you need AI-controlled lights. So you have somebody who puts up the lights, and he's selling then the other operator to the data and says, every million times I told you what the light is, or what the camera sees on the streets, or whatever it is, you pay me like 1 cent. So then at the end of the day, it's machine against machine paying each other. Now, so we have the two things. We have the payment need on the long run, and we have a superior software engineering capacity of these machines. Now, if they can hack into a system, a payment system, to avoid payment, they will. And if I say AI, I mean the operators using AI to do that, right? So in payment, you need to have a robust, immutable system. And there is only one system in the world which can do that. So any smart AI and any operator using AI will, of course, make a decision to use Bitcoin for payment because that's the only secure and safe way to pay. While all the other blockchains will be hacked by AI very soon. And therefore, AI and Bitcoin are going hand in hand. AI will choose Bitcoin for a payment system, and Bitcoin doesn't matter. Bitcoin is there, and Bitcoin is moving forward, and it's producing a new Bitcoin block every 10 minutes, as we know, and it just goes tick-tock. It doesn't care if the AI chooses Bitcoin or some other cryptos or maybe the fiat system. Bitcoin is there, but the AI will need to use Bitcoin to have a safe and secure way of paying services and receiving services. Therefore, I'm very happy for Bitcoin that AI is there.
Yeah. So are you in general positive or also a bit negative? Because back in March 2023, Elon Musk and other 1,000 experts, including Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak, signed a letter calling for a halt of AI development. Do you think we're at risk of losing control, or has it already gone too far? What is your take on that?
Well, it's a multi-level question here. It has multiple point of views to it. First of all, it doesn't matter if we sign a letter to not develop AI any further. There are actors around in the world who will continue to develop regardless of what we sign or not. So we need to face reality, and we need to be on the forefront of AI development rather than putting out some stupid legislation or some stupid letters. So it's all the real world. It's there and people do it. Maybe the Chinese, maybe the Russians, maybe whoever will do it. That's one fact. We need to face it. The next fact is, I don't think that AI will be dangerous to companies, to employment, to the employment situation necessarily by itself. But people who are not in AI, who don't understand AI, and disregard AI, will be replaced by people who understand AI. So your job is in danger if you don't get involved. That's very important, because there will be somebody who is using AI and can do your job so much better than you can do it. And the next thing is that, of course, AI will be so productive and help us to do things which we can't do in that speed and to this quality, that a lot of jobs will be gone. And this is where the real danger is. Personally, I think 60% of all jobs we have today, 60% of all people working on a screen will be out of jobs within the next 2 to 5 years. Now, it's a question on society. It's a challenge to society what to do with these unemployed people.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, I think there are experts saying that like AI, I fully agree we're going down that race. And I know people who say, I'm not touching AI. And I think there's no chance. Sooner or later, you will have to get involved, just like you say.
Yes.
And so there's no way around it. And if you don't do that, that's okay. But you may not be competitive at some point anymore. And I believe, well, experts say then AI gets better and better. They get more input. They get exponentially better. And that there is this singularity moment where AI kind of gets out of control because AI realizes that if I'm not going to get turned off, I can get to more sophisticated, better conclusions. Do you see that risk?
Yes and no. Of course, there is a theoretical risk of that, but there's also a theoretical risk of that the fusion and nuclear fusion we are experimenting with and trying to get new fusion reactors running, that they also getting out of hand and blow up the whole planet. There's a risk that, a theoretical risk that in CERN in Switzerland, they create a black hole. There's a lot of things which can happen. I don't see it like a real risk. Of course, we need to make sure that we don't trust the machines blindly. But that's the thing is, if you're not involved in AI, if you don't understand AI, if you're not working with AI today, and not sooner or later, now is the time to be involved, then you don't understand what these machines are doing later on. And then you're controlled again. Then you're kind of in a second position. But as long as you're on top of the game, you understand what they do, how they do it, and you can deal with it, you're fine. You're fine. I don't think machine will get on their own consciousness. I think we are a long time away from that. Even if they call it AGI, the artificial general intelligence, it just means it's a huge tool, but you still need to have a human brain using it. And this is the danger. If you don't be involved, if you're not involved, if you don't study the AI as you study Bitcoin, then it could be a little bit dangerous for you in the near future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I see like three possible scenarios. One is that there is going to be some sort of elite controlling AI. Then the other version is that AI is going to get democratized and the options are there for everyone, or AI actually in total or is controlling all of us. In all scenarios, don't really sit well with me, I have to say. Is there another scenario, or do you think any of those three is realistic?
Well, first of all, AI, as it is now, it's digital. It may change with robots. But if we, for example, coming back to the central bank digital currencies, if we don't allow them to issue these control instruments, then AI cannot control us in financial terms, because AI doesn't have access to cash. So if we pay cash or Bitcoin, then AI is just loser, right? Mm-hmm. However, one of the danger I see more than any other danger concerning AI is that AI can be powerful enough, not necessarily smart enough, but powerful enough to control weapons. And this is one thing also, Elon Musk, I mean, he's saying a lot of bold statements, a lot of things which I don't agree, but in the core, sometimes he's right. And one of the things he said, why does the US spend so much money, billions of dollars, for a fighter jet, the F-35, then a but a powerful drone network of drones can do as much damage as a F-35 plane. And I think this is the future, where AI, powerful AI, control mechanic drones, robots with firepower and things like that. That can be very dangerous. And this is something, I guess the Chinese are way more enhanced or sophisticated than we are. And we are, I mean, the Europeans, and also the US needs to step up the game, because this kind of warfare technology, that's the real danger. Not because AI can control it, but AI is powerful enough to organize it, to organize a horde of like 100,000 drones. And if these drones are weaponized, then AI can detect, organize and attack and all those things. This is the real danger I see.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So how do you see humanity's role evolving in the future? I mean, you kind of said it already, but will we maintain a central position, or will AI kind of push us a little bit to the sidelines?
No. We can still be the central position. We can still be like the dominating force if we stay on top of the game. And again, study Bitcoin and study AI. Get involved. Don't say it's new tech. It's like, I remember 1969, I talked to people. 1969, I talked to people and they said, "Oh, the internet, that's something, it'll pass. It'll fade out." 1996, that was what I meant. Yeah, 1996. The internet, no, that's going away. That's just a fashion trend. It's not. If you look at Amazon today, and you look at all the retailers and you see what damage Amazon did to the retailers, because retailers were stupid. They just ignored the internet. And there's so many samples in the past and in the current times that ignoring technology is the worst thing you can do. So it's threatening everything, but only if you don't get involved, only if you don't study it, only if you don't know what to do with it. Get involved, because if you don't, somebody will, and he's taking your job, he's taking your position, he's taking your productivity, he's taking everything. So get involved.
Yeah, I agree. And even though many people will do, probably there's still a chunk of people that don't. So are we ahead of an identity crisis? What do you think? Because especially older people may not be as fast, and a lot of things will change very rapidly, I think.
See, there was a concept introduced, I don't know when, it may be a lot of years ago. It's called lifelong learning. And today it's even...
Lifelong learning is the ongoing pursuit of knowledge and skill.
Okay, that was my iPhone telling me something. It's smart also, but I don't know what it said, so sorry for that. So let's go back, roll back a little bit. There was a time when there was the concept of lifelong learning introduced. And a lot of people disregarded that. A lot of people, again, like the internet, wow, it's just a fashion trend. Things like, no, lifelong learning is the name of the game. If you do not be involved, if you don't keep up with the next level of technology, you will have problems. You will not be on the winner's street. You will be suffering. So get involved. Lifelong learning. And now use AI to leverage lifelong learning. Most AIs can help you learning. The only thing you need to do is you need to do it. Instead of not doing anything and sitting in front of the TV, being lazy, putting the chips and whatever in your body, get involved. Do something. Sit down with the damned machine and ask the machine question about something you're interested in. Maybe it's Bitcoin. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's salsa dancing. Maybe whatever it is. These machines have a lot of information for you. Just talk to them. You can talk, you can write, you can video to a certain extent. Just go get involved. That is important. Otherwise, you lose.
As a final question, what are you very optimistic and enthusiastic about for the future with regards to Bitcoin or AI? What are you looking forward to? Well, AI is a lot of fun. It's increasing productivity like crazy, really crazy. Yeah. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And I'm very happy and optimistic that Bitcoin will make its way, because it's growing, and it doesn't matter. Bitcoin doesn't matter if you be with it or not be with it, take it or not use it, whatever it is. Bitcoin is just going forward. Every 10 minutes, a new block in average. So we used to say TikTok, next block. And it's there. And it's a solution to freedom, to be independent. It's
open, borderless, non-discriminating, immutable, and all those things. And this is the step into freedom, the step into happiness, because nobody can control you anymore. And that's very, very fantastic. We never had that before.
Great. Well, that was a very insightful conversation with a lot of interesting new input. I mean, yeah, thank you so much for your time. And
you're very welcome.
On a Bitcoin conference or AI conference, maybe. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And one last motivational quote to all of you out there: study Bitcoin and get involved in AI. That's the name of the game. And be against any kind of digital euro or dollar or whatever digital. Just fight against it. All right?